is Laird and my colleague with me is Nancy Dorenzo. She's from Pensacola, and we're both over in the exhibit hall at the booth. I'm the president and the founder of Red Sky Travel Insurance. We're from the Outer Banks of North Carolina, my office, and I live in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Pretty large vacation rental market, at least by our standards, nothing compared to you all. But I wanted today to speak, as Amy has asked, on what I see as an insurance provider as best practices for accidental damage, guest damage repair, and bed bug remediation that we've gathered from our clients all across the United States and in Canada. So I put an article on the table that was in this month's VRM, or this quarter's VRMintel, and I want to try to do a little bit of a deeper dive on those practices, focusing on revenue opportunities that you might capture either from these products or, as I am suggesting and as I find factual, providing the services yourself. I want to talk about best practices, and to me, to qualify as a best practice, that practice needs to be effective. It needs to succeed. It needs to get the job done. It needs to get the job done satisfactorily, completely, and it needs to work. It also needs to be an efficient practice. It needs to be the least burdensome, the quickest, the easiest, the most natural way to accomplish something. And ideally, that practice should translate into profit, increased revenues, or savings, or both, but it should reflect a gain in profitability for you and your company. I want to take that approach and look at the benefits of an accidental guest damage repair service, not an insurance policy, a service, and a bed bug infestation remediation service, not an insurance policy. I'm not here to talk about product benefits. I'm not here to talk about insurance policies. I'm here to talk about the implementation of a service in lieu of an insurance product. I hope that you will realize through the course of the conversation that this is a way that you can increase revenues for your company, increase income for you and your company. And if you attend Ben Edwards' session later this afternoon about selling your company and the acquisition that is occurring in the vacation rental space, I think you'll see how increased income translates into increased valuation. Today's vacation rental companies are selling for multiples of EBITDA of 4.7 and growing towards 5 times earnings. So every dollar that you drop to your bottom line actually enhances the value of your company 4.7 to 5 times. That becomes very, very important as you plan for your exit strategy or just grow weary of what we know to be a very, very tough business. And then I hope you'll see that you can also capture time, employee time, and labor savings by employing some of these services rather than some of the timely administrative products that are out there in the market. This is a vacation rental company that I was the managing partner of on the Outer Banks, and this was my income statement from 2014. I share these numbers with you to show you, one, how competitive our market is. We have management fees of 14%, 15%, and from that we do annual deep cleans, all of our weekly cleans, exterior window cleans, interior window cleans, carpet cleans, pay for all our marketing, and our first hour of guest services is free. And so it's a very, very difficult competitive market. My third largest source of income revenue was travel insurance commission. If we have time today, I want to show you a few things that I think might help you promote that, but I'm here to talk about accidental guest damage service. That's my fourth highest source of revenue. I don't use a bed bug product, and I want to share with you through the day why I don't do that. I don't know if you all have an opportunity to have an early check-in fee. That's something we stumbled upon some years ago. We're a difficult destination to access. And so for $195, I will guarantee a guest a 1 p.m. check-in. My normal check-in time is 4 p.m., but for $195, I'll guarantee a 1 p.m. I don't do more than 5 bedrooms. I limit it to about 24 houses per turnover day, And it's really just an issue of dispatching my housekeepers to the right house on the right day and cleaning it first. I did about 395 events, and I dropped $60,000 of money right to the bottom line. No additional expense, no additional cost, just dispatching my housekeepers to the right house. A couple years thereafter, we initiated a late checkout fee. Again, $195, and you could stay in my property till 1 p.m. and avoid all the traffic trying to leave town at the same time, not have to pack on Friday or Saturday night, pack on Saturday or Sunday morning. Kids enjoyed another half day at the beach or in the pool. That too generated about $60,000. So we're always looking for sources of revenue to add to our bottom line and increase our valuation. We actually sold our business in 2015, and these line items, when given the multiple that is in the market today, contribute over $1 million to the valuation of the company. So it is important to look at. So this is going to be boring, but it is important in terms of looking at income and revenue. Going to be a lot of numbers, and I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible. This is the analysis that I would like for you all to consider when determining whether you want to use an insurance product. Nothing against it. I have an accidental damage product, and I discourage everybody I know not to use it. I have actually transitioned more than 150 vacation rental managers off of the use of a security deposit waiver product, and not one of them has come back and said, you know what, that's not working for me. I want to get back on the product. So let me show you why. This top line is the company that I managed. It's a hypothetical because I did not use an insurance product, but I made 3,330 reservations. And in each one of my reservations, I have an administrative fee. And in my administrative fee, I have $50. And I allocate that $50 to a general ledger line item, and I pay for my accidental damage out of that $50. That is money from which, if I used a damaged product, you see the $19, I would have forwarded that $19 to Red Sky Travel Insurance, but I didn't use it. So if you look at the column right here, net premium to Red Sky, that's what we would have paid Red Sky Travel Insurance, $63,000 from that year. During that year, I paid, claims paid, $23,000 in repairs. Carpet stain, carpet stain, carpet stain, comforter stain, carafe, carafe, carpet stain. I had a loss ratio of 36.5%, meaning for every dollar that I would have paid the insurance company, they would have sent me back 36.5 cents. So who kept the 64.5 cents or 63.5 cents? The insurance company. Had I used Red Sky, and Red Sky would have made $40,000 from that relationship. But I did not use Red Sky. I kept that money, and I took it to the bottom line. What I would suggest you do if you haven't already, if you're using a product, and are some of you using a damage waiver product? If not, this is going to be real boring. Oh, okay. Go find out what you sent to your provider last year, and then add up what your provider sent back to you. No one that I have suggested to do that has found that they were losing money. The insurance company was losing money on that relationship. One thing you can be sure of about insurance companies is if they are allowing you to use a product, they are making money on it. No one is in the insurance business to lose money. So you can be assured there's profit there. So let's go on down and look at the analysis. We were a rather small company. We managed 220 properties on the Outer Banks, 3,330 reservations. This gets even larger, obviously, as you grow your reservations. Let's look at the second account there. These are actual numbers. These were Red Sky users until I showed them the advantages of doing this themselves. So they made 10,061 reservations. They charged $69 to the guest in a disclosed, advertised way in their transaction, and they collected $694,000. They sent me $19 per policy, so I took in $191,000. They love the $500,000 that they made off of that commission on retention. They sent me 191 and they submitted 782. They actually submitted 797 claims and I denied 15. I paid them back $88,000. This was my largest loser on damage waiver, and they had a loss ratio of 46%. So Red Sky and my underwriter still made 54 cents off of every dollar that they sent us, and we paid 782 claims with an average cost of $113. Red Sky and the underwriter made $102,000. That company is now keeping and making for themselves. So you begin to see the idea, and looking at your particular business, how much have you sent your provider and what have they sent back? Let's look at the one at the bottom. This was a great account of mine for 4 or 5 years. Big company, 585 units. They made 9,782 reservations. They only charged $49 for the product, sent me 19, generated $479,000, sent me 173. And look at what I paid back. They only submitted 200 claims for a total of $24,580, a loss ratio of 16.5%. They did a very good job of assessing wear and tear, assessing intentional negligent damage, and assessing what was accidental. Submitted very few claims, relatively speaking. So the loss ratio is 16.5%. Red Sky and my underwriter made $149,000 on that relationship. 4 or 5 years later, they go to sell their company. And they do so, and they sell for a multiple of earnings of 4.7 times. When they did so, they did not capture that $149,000 because they were using my product. Had they done so, they would have sold their company for $700,000 more than they did when they closed. The buyer immediately purchased and dropped the use of the damage waiver product, administered it in the same way, and took $150,000 to the bottom line. So you say, well, that's big companies and that might be what goes on, but I wanted to share with you some of our smaller users too, and show you that the same philosophy or the same findings occur. These are some small users. I think I mentioned we've transitioned about 150 accounts off of the use of this product. Many of them were very small accounts. Here's one that generated $28,000 in premium to Red Sky. We paid them back $3,500, a 12.3% loss ratio. To this company, that $25,000 that Red Sky and Arch made was a very important amount of money. That contributed towards staff, marketing. There's always a need for additional money. We showed this company how to capture $25,000 and they've never looked back. None of these companies that have left the use of the product have ever come back and said, ouch, I got burned. We had a loss, I can't take it, please give me my product back. Here's an even smaller one, $20,800. Only paid $1,500 in claims, 7.2 loss ratio, another $20,000. So go back and look in your bookkeeping and the accounting and see if you're a user, what you've paid and how much you've gotten back. And honestly, every time I've done that, the account has transitioned off the use of the product. And you might find that to be the case too. So you may say, well, that occurs for you, the insurance company, because you're denying a lot of claims. And in fact, we're not denying many claims. This is a denial stack where you can see small and some big companies, the total claims that they have submitted to us under the damage waiver program. What I have found largely is that you all are so experienced, know your property so thoroughly, you know when a carpet is worn, you know when a carpet is threadbare and it really wasn't accidental damage and you can't pull that stain out. You've been harping on that owner for years to replace the carpet. You're submitting qualified, properly underwritten, approvable claims. We don't deny many at all. So using that same assessment skill, you'll keep that same situation going on the claims that you're presently providing. Pay those claims if you take this in-house. Otherwise, it's wear and tear, intentional negligence, something like that. So we've got a pretty, we declined 8% of the claims on this bottom line, 2% on OIA. That just happened to be the one that should have taken the program in-house before they sold. And so calculate the number of claims that you submit to your provider, what they pay back dollar-wise and number-wise. And you'll see that had you done that same submission internally, you wouldn't have had many situations that got denied or didn't get paid. So dig into those numbers. Let us know if we can help you with suggestions on how to dig into those numbers. But there's real value and real opportunity here if you were to take it into an in-house program. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things with respect to taking it in-house. You cannot pretend to have an insurance offering and not have an insurance offering. So you have to be particularly careful and think of this and express this as a service, a program. Just like making beds, just like treating for pets, just like providing linens, early check-ins, this is another service that you're providing for your homeowners and your guests. So you have to be particularly careful if you're using a product to remove the insurance language and make no representation. What we like to make sure of in your homeowner's agreement and in your rental agreement is that you make no representation of insurance, protection, coverage, or indemnification. No representation that would lead a consumer to think that there's an insurance-backed product that you're offering for accidental damage. In the homeowner agreement, we typically recommend, and we did, represent that agent, management company, agent is responsible for the repair of accidental guest damage up to X number of dollars. So the homeowner is still protected. The homeowner has no threat of not being covered for accidental damage, but we never mention insurance. Agent is responsible for the repair of accidental guest damage up to. That's the only statement we make in our management agreement. In our rental agreement on the guest side, we want no representation of insurance, coverage, protection, or indemnification. In fact, I prefer that there be no mention of anything related to the repair of accidental guest damage on the guest side. I prefer for there just to be a statement that the tenant is responsible for the repair of all negligent, intentional, and wanton damage, period. No representation that we're looking after you if you accidentally create damage. They don't need to know, I'm just going to clean the carpet if they spill juice or wine. I'm going to take care of it, but I have no protection that I'm insinuating for them. But let me show you how those that like to have some kind of offering explanation, what they call this non-insurance product and what they call this service. This accidental damage program, this is in Outer Beaches. They're a company up in North Carolina, and they say this: we have learned that our vacationers do not travel hundreds of miles to damage a home. At the same time, experience also tells us accidents can and will happen. Included with your rent is our accidental damage program. Outer Beaches does not require a separate security deposit or a security deposit waiver in addition to the rent. Under ADP, you will not be required to pay for accidental damage to the home or personal property of the owner contained within the premises up to $2,000. This is another one, a no worries protection program. Again, it is an explanation should you feel compelled or you want to transition from the use of the product in your initial rental agreement to an interim rental agreement to no language at all. You can represent and name it. No worries protection program. I don't know where that came up from, but that's what they capitalize on, and the paragraph is even longer, informing the guest that inside their published rate, there is a no worries protection program fee. So you have to be careful, and preferably we recommend that you always allow your attorney to create this language, review the language, and share with them the idea and the theory that you're working on. Our underwriters, legal department, and general counsel has worked with a publicly traded company's general counsel and reviewed all of this and found that it is absolutely fine to do and a good service to provide, and so it's been reviewed and approved a number of different ways and a number of different times. So after we get our agreement and our verbiage and language lined out, we want to make sure that we're capturing the revenue that we need for the service. So if you're presently a user and you're presently having a disclosed fee for your damage waiver insurance, or if you're doing a program, the best way to do this, and what we encourage people to do, is move that dollar amount into your published rate. Don't even have a disclosed line item that says, no worries, whatever that was, protection plan. Move it into your published rate, make it all go away. You don't have any language in your rental agreement, and it's just part of your admin fee that's in your published rate, which is what we do. We move the admin up into our published rate. If you don't want to do that, and some markets and some people think by doing that, moving it to your published rate, you're going to appear to have an uncompetitive rate when people are searching for those rentals. And so if you then want to have a disclosed line item, move the fee that you previously charged for damage waiver into the admin and reservation fee if that's what you represent on your transaction summary. And then lastly, if you just don't want to appear to have increased fees, you can add it as a stated line item, individual line item, and use the name that you have come up with for the program or service and not the insurance. So you have to, if you're not presently doing it, address the revenue side for this service and do it by entering it in the published rate, disclosing it in the admin or reservation fee, or simply retaining a stated line item. But this is a pretty important step here. So once you have the fees coming in, there's one exercise that I like for people to do, and that is to create a general ledger line item in your revenue and in your expenses to recognize the monies from each of those reservations and the payments for each of those repairs, so you can measure and manage and determine whether your decision maker who's making these decisions is doing as well as you did with the insurance company or not. We just labeled our general ledger line items TLC revenue, TLC expense. And we deposited $50 from every reservation into my revenue, general ledger TLC, and every work order that I paid out for accidental guest damage, I expensed to my TLC expense category so that I could know I only paid $23,000 or 36%. So you've got a little bit of an accounting task, you got a language task on your agreements, you have to figure out how you want to capture the revenue and then account for it. And then comes the administration side, the decision-making side, which you've already been doing. If you use this product, you're making that decision before you submit a claim to me. Pay the accidental, acknowledge the wear and tear, negligence, and intentional. I put a very poor copy that I'm not proud of, but that's what Staples gave me at Sunday at 1 p.m. on your tables, that gives you some insight into the criteria that we use when we're looking at, it's on the copy by the water jug there, I'm sorry, yeah. That gives you some idea into what we categorize as accidental, what we categorize as wear and tear, and examples of intentional. And you're probably already doing this, but this is the criteria that we as an insurance company use when we're reviewing a claim. So we have to make that decision and we have to assess the origin of the damage. And then it's a very quick, efficient best practice to simply pay the work order or pay the vendor invoice out of the owner's funds if it's wear and tear, negligence. If it's accidental, pay it out of your TLC account. No completion of a claim form, no photographs, no submission of supporting documentation, no question and discussion about what you submitted and how it happened. Most importantly, no call to your guests about the damage that occurred during their stay, no request for a check, accounting. None of that labor and none of that administrative task has to be done when it's an in-house service. You simply pay the vendor or the work order and go on to the next task. Some of these large companies that formerly used accidental damage policies truly have an employee who during the season, that's a 40-hour job, managing the accidental damage insurance claims and all the work that goes through with it. They capture that entire person's time back when they implement this type of program. All right, so in making these slides, you sometimes get a little bit wiggy, and if you study bed bugs but so long, you're going to begin to scratch, they're going to be in your dreams. It's just not the best subject that you want to spend your Super Bowl evening researching. I will say my team lost, so I might as well have been researching bed bugs, but it was a good game. So I want to go over several solutions that are out there and that are possible for bed bug infestation remediation. There are some insurance solutions, there are some non-insurance solutions, and there are some in-house solutions. And I want to share what I know about them with you. The first is a product that is offered by a competitor of mine, and they offer a security deposit waiver product, just like mine, with the same accidental guest damage repair provisions and benefits, and then they add on a bed bug infestation benefit and remediation benefit, and that of course translates into a higher premium that's remitted to the insurer. And it's being used, but I would submit first, we've just decided that from an income and revenue and a best practice standpoint, we don't want the security deposit waiver product. That's not something we should be forwarding to an insurance company. I hope through this presentation that you will also agree we don't need the bed bug infestation remediation benefit either. But this product's out there. Should you be interested in a combination of an STW product with a bed bug product, I can certainly steer you in the right direction and share that with you. Another solution that is out there in the market, and there are certain areas where vacation rental managers operate, when one of them stumbles upon a solution, a service, or a product, it isn't long before neighbors and competitors begin doing the same thing. And so this is used frequently in certain markets in which we serve. And that is that the vacation rental management company has entered into a contractual agreement with a pest control specialist. And that pest control specialist, for a contracted rate, responds and addresses every bed bug event that occurs, and in some areas does frequent inspections on a frequent time, every quarter, every month. And it's a very proactive program, and the homeowner is billed a fee at the beginning of each year to pay for this service. The one I'm most familiar with is about 185 properties. The contract price and fee to the homeowner, the vacation rental company doesn't try to make any money off of it, it's $225 per cabin. And that enabled the pest control guy to buy a bed bug dog. Did y'all know there were bed bug dogs? That's what the fellow did with his first check, was he bought a bed bug dog, and now he inspects those properties every 30, 60 days, I'm not sure the frequency, but he's on call. That's like a retainer. Should there be a bed bug event and he be called, he has committed to drop everything that he does, and respond and take care of that situation. And so the homeowner pays and covers the expense, and the guest isn't affected, and most important, you don't have to advertise the fact that you've got bed bug protection in place. That's a very difficult thing to include in your rental agreement, in your terms and policies, that there is bed bug protection. When I go to book the Hampton Inn in Pigeon Forge, the first thing that comes up is bed bugs in a big red box. And it's not the Hampton Inn website, I didn't know that. But now the Hampton Inn website advertises, we were just inspected on February the 2nd and we have no bed bugs. I mean, they're doing that every time, and it can be a brutal experience if you're trying to disclose the presence of bed bugs. So the homeowner pays for it, and it takes care of itself, and it's remediated in that way. A third solution that is out there is a product that is an insurance underwritten product, and it offers protection for bed bug infestation remediation and has an additional benefit of an accidental medical expense insurance policy. And this is the one that I want to sort of examine the economics behind and see if it reminds you of the accidental damage analysis that I just shared with you. This is the potential revenue that you might find associated with this product. Like the accidental damage product, the key to your decision about how to address bed bug remediation is to determine how many events did you really have and how much did they cost you, and whether the product that you're considering is a reasonably priced, reasonably provided product to offset that risk. So we did an analysis of a number of companies and did a survey of the incidence of bed bugs, did a survey of the cost of bed bugs, and this particular product assumes a gross premium of $30 per weekly reservation, and they have a nightly or a daily equivalent of that rate. And it has a $20 remittance to the underwriter for the product, $20 a week or daily, nightly equivalent. So you're charging your guest $30 per reservation. You're remitting to the insurance provider $20. And these are fairly good-sized companies. If you look at ours at the top, we would have collected 3,330 reservations. We would have created $99,000 in gross premium. We would have sent Red Sky $66,600 or the provider. But we only had 2 bed bug events. We only had 2. Now, we had 5 calls, but 3 of them were found not to be bed bugs. I don't know if that happens in your business, but there are other insects that look like bed bugs, and we get calls. And so once we assess what it is, we then have to treat it if it's bed bugs. We spent $4,800 that year. If we had forwarded the insurance provider $66,000, $20 per reservation, that would have been a very attractive product for that insurance company. Remember that insurance companies do not give you products unless they make money off of them. And as the reservations increase, the number gets even more advantageous to the insurance company. But in this situation, after we looked at over 82,000, I think it's in the article there, over 82,000 reservations, the incidence of bed bug infestation was 0.05%. The highest number that I have found from anybody in your business is about 1% of their reservations are affected with bed bugs. Now that 1% seems like 2,000% of your reservations have them because it's such a crisis and such a big event. But assess that for your own company and see how many times you had an actual bed bug event and see what the expense was before you consider a solution to address those. So I want to make a couple of suggestions based on this information of a damage waiver product with the added benefit of a bed bug policy, a homeowner fee, which I don't know about your homeowners. Our homeowners feel like every month we send them a new fee. They just seem like we feed them to death when we don't. And so I don't really like approaching the homeowner for an additional fee. And then you've got this dedicated bed bug policy as well that seems to be rather excessively priced when you look at the cost of your events and your cost of remediation. So this is my guy right here. I want to talk about a bed bug remediation service that you might consider for your own operation and not use the 3 other solutions that I've mentioned. The key is to measure the frequency of the events or the frequency of the incidents that you experience. All markets and all destinations and all properties around the country have different experiences. And so determine your incidence frequency and then determine what the average incidence cost is. You may know off the top of your head, because what I found is it doesn't happen that often. And a lot of people have found ways to contain it very quickly. I'm not sure when I first got introduced to bed bugs, not that I've ever had them, but I think it was 6 to 8 years ago. Is that about when this became, is it longer, when bed bugs became a problem? It was a real crisis for us. The staff didn't know what to do. Our first bed bug incidents, we dispatched the maintenance man, and he was pretty much of a hero. He put the mattress over his head and walked out the door and threw it in the back of the truck and then got in our company vehicle. And we were like, don't come in, don't come in, don't come in. So we did not know what to do with bed bugs. Now we've got experience. Now we're not so, it's not a crisis. We know what to do, it's unfortunate, but we're very methodical and we've got a protocol to deal with it. So you need to measure the frequency, measure the cost, and then increase, if and where possible, your admin fee or your reservation fee to offset that cost. If you have room in your admin fee or your published rate to add 30 bucks, you certainly have room to add $5 and offset the true cost for yourself of the risk that you have identified and the cost that you've associated with it. And so increase your reservation fee and your admin fee to offset that expense. You can do it just to protect yourself, or you can increase it even further than 5 or 2 or whatever the number is to add profit to your bottom line, value to your company, or a cushion in the event that something more than you anticipated happens. So identify the cost and capture the revenue to provide the service. Secondly, just like in the accidental damage, create a new general ledger line item to put that fee into and an expense line item to put the expense into, because only then will you be able to determine the success of your program and whether or not you need to raise the fee in the following year. And then there's the administration of an in-house program. And remember, we're searching for effectiveness, we're searching for efficiency, and we're searching for profit. And so this is what I have found from large vacation rental professionals like you all and how they address bed bug infestations. The first thing is that there's written protocol in their offices, all of their staff, in the policy manuals, the vacation planners, the maintenance team, the maintenance coordinator, everyone knows what to do in writing when a bed bug incident occurs. And that is your roadmap on how to address it. Part of that written protocol needs to be a formal relationship and a response plan with a pest control professional. And they're pest control professionals, and they're really professional pest control professionals. And find the leader in your area that has the bed bug training and the bed bug ability. And their job is more than just to respond and treat the situation. Their job is to educate the guest, calm the guest with facts, and take care of the situation in a professional manner and follow up. So get your team responsive. Part of that written protocol needs to be a training and equipping of your maintenance personnel. I don't know how many of you have ultraviolet flashlights for the identification of bed bugs before you call the trained professional. One of those companies on the previous slide, the one that had 11,000 reservations in the middle and had 6 incidents of bed bugs, actually had 30 calls that year. 30 calls for bed bugs, and 24 of them proved to be something different. And it's very important that your team, initial response, knows how to identify a bed bug. There's training and there's equipment available to have them do that. So do train and equip your personnel. It needs to be part of your preseason program on all your maintenance team. There are some operators who have their own laundries, and they have equipment that they can quickly take the homeowners and the guests' belongings and effects and treat them with the heat required during the guest stay. If you have a laundry, you might look into some of the things that have to be done to treat the bed bug. Another key, almost like the written incident protocol, is a really manager type person needs to get very proactive with the guests. There is information, there are facts that can be shared with the guest, no matter how emotional and irrational, that will over time introduce that guest to the real situation with bed bugs. Let me say that 90% of the time. 10%, it doesn't work. And then educate your homeowners. Years ago, homeowners blamed our housekeepers for the occurrence of bed bugs. Homeowners didn't understand the origin or why they were there. Homeowners didn't understand why in their first stay, before the season got started, there were bed bugs and there weren't before when they were there, and that they had been in the property all along. So educate the homeowner about the bed bug situation as well. A couple of things I want to mention when you're thinking about this and why I really prefer an in-house remediation service. This is a horrible subject for guests and for homeowners. I'm not sure if you want to use an insurance product, make certain that you know whether or not it's okay to charge a guest a fee that ultimately goes to pay for a premium of an insurance product that is not disclosed either by money or by purchase. It needs to be optional. They need the ability to decline it, I believe. Please check with your Department of Insurance. And it needs to be disclosed. And that's where the stumbling block is. How do you disclose to your homeowner or guest, I got this great product, bed bugs? And so that's a difficult one. This is very quiet, very effective, doesn't offend anyone, and you've got the wherewithal to address it. Capture your revenue and train your people. That's sort of my takeaway and my suggestion. So I've got just a minute or two, and I want to shift into something. I've just talked you out of using my insurance, but I've got kids, and I got to eat, and I got a mortgage, and so I want to share with you something that I make money on, and that's travel insurance. And I do believe in travel insurance, and I believe it's the best practice. I want to share with you, this is just like 30 days old. I always fly Delta, and I always book online. Delta's a big company. Delta makes a lot of money. Delta knows what they're doing. And for some reason, in the last 30 days, this is Delta's checkout page. Look in the top green box. This is their page. I can't book now without answering this question. This is the travel insurance offering, and I can't buy my ticket unless I say I want travel insurance or I don't. But when I'm making that consideration, Delta puts the green box that says, highly recommended. That's pretty prominent. I mean, they're taking a bold statement there. In the middle, it's wise to always consider a travel protection plan to cover your trip costs from the unexpected, as a quote from Frommer's, May 2016. Then what really gives me the peer pressure, or really makes me doubt whether I know what I'm doing, is at the bottom above the Delta logo. It says 63,575 customers protected their trip in the last 7 days. That's the online presentation that Delta uses and the effort that they go to promote travel insurance. I can only assume they believe in the product. I can only assume they're probably making some money off of it. I can only assume they're going to enforce their cancellation penalty, and they're going to send me back to this conversation and say you should have bought it. And so when I see Delta take that intentional effort to promote travel insurance online, I think it's a good lesson for all of us. I think we need to introduce our travelers in the same way. But I'm still bullheaded. I say no, and I click the no box. What happens? I still can't book now. I get an understanding, a red button, an exclamation point. I understand by declining coverage, I'm responsible for all cancellation fees and delay expenses. One more time, to help me buy travel insurance, and when I don't and I hit book now, I've had all the warning and all the information that I have. So I want to translate that into a vacation rental presentation very quickly and suggest that as you get better and are getting better and may already have arrived, increasing your online reservations. Do an analysis from several years ago and you'll see your travel insurance sales are going just like this. As you get better at online reservations, they click no because they want to save money, and you may or may not have advised them differently when offering it. So we do all the Wyndham vacation locations around the country, and this is one of their checkout pages. Sort of similar to the airline, yes, no, gives me a link to go to a dedicated page for additional information of why are they offering it, but I can't book my property. I can't click book now unless I answer their travel insurance question. It has to be answered yes or no, just like the airline. So this is one of our accounts, Isle of Palm, same sort of thing. Opt choice, that's the presentation. Opt choice is not opt in. We're not trying to upsell. You got to answer and you got to make a decision. So I declined the travel insurance offering, and what happens? They freeze my transaction, just like Delta. And they say, are you sure you want to decline travel insurance? And they go through the reasons, again, of why you should buy it. They link to the travel insurance company's page in there. They give you one more chance to make your mind up before you hit book now. So what's the advantage of that? A couple. I want to promote my travel insurance. That pop-up box will increase your sales. My competition over in the red room, Brandon, says 10 to 13%. And our company, when we instituted the pop-up box in the first month, we tested it in a very low reservation period. It picked up 69 sales from people who had already hit decline once. And then when they revisited the thought, they picked up 69 sales, and that works for us every single month. But it really makes the conversation easy. If there is an online booking that declines travel insurance, subsequently has a cancellation, and I'm not going to refund their money, and they begin the, I didn't see it, you didn't tell me it wasn't available, nobody told me, you double decline on your online reservation, and I'm very sorry, I can't refund your money. I wished you had bought the travel insurance. I tried very hard. So opt choice, just like Delta, hit them with the reminders. We were afraid if we froze the transaction, we'd lose some of those reservations, and we did not. People are accustomed to this type of practice now. And then have a dedicated travel insurance page. If you're recommending the offering, if you're having the opt choice presentation, present a clip to a source of information to explain to them why you are promoting this offering. Make it branded with your logo, provide content, your own messaging, advising them of your cancellation penalty, why you're encouraging them to purchase it, provide them some information about the offering. I'd suggest if you don't have a truly dedicated travel insurance page on your website, you really aren't very dedicated to the promotion of travel insurance. So put forth some of this effort and you will increase your sales. We find a minimum acceptable. Now you have to work to get here. You have to do some of these things. If you're not selling 40% of your reservation's travel insurance, you have opportunity. You have opportunity to get from 7, 10, 12, wherever you are. Every market we serve, we have users that can get to 40. Now we've got users in the mid-50s and mid-60s, but they are really, really Delta-like serious in their promotion. So think about it. That's our presentation. You've been great. I've only seen 3 people fall asleep, and that's a record. And thank you for bearing with the insurance subject, bed bugs, and I'm Laird Sager, and we're up here in the hall. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us.